a community ravaged by the lack of action on the part of our government and local government, state government, who just turned their backs on them. What are we talking about? Visalia, California. It sits between L.A. and San Francisco. And in that town, over the course of 2 harrowing days earlier this week, Gustavo Garcia, he's a man twice removed from this country, went on what authorities call a reign of terror. It's a 24-hour shooting spree, killing at least 2 and injuring many more.
Deputies taking gunfire from this man, 36-year-old Gustavo Garcia. It all went down on Road 140 and Avenue 256 early Monday morning. You can hear the officer reloading his gun as bullets ring out.
Now, while the circumstances of this are tragic on their own, the run-up to it is even more so. 2 days before this reign of terror, he was arrested by the Tulare County Sheriff's deputies for being under the influence of a controlled substance. He was held in the county jail for about 10 hours before being released, even though ICE officials had issued an immigration hold on him. You see, this arrest wasn't Garcia's first brush with the law. He has a violent criminal past.
Immigration and Customs Enforcement tells Fox 26 News Garcia had been deported twice. In the past, the sheriff's office could have alerted immigration because of Garcia's extensive rap sheet, which includes armed robbery more than 15 years ago.
Now, you might be asking yourself, why did the cops let him go despite the ICE hold, especially given his past? So was it the police's fault?
ICE did file a detainer as soon as it learned of Garcia's arrest Friday. And this would be enough to keep him in custody in other states. But Sheriff Boudreau says his office no longer recognizes those detainers, and it can't reach out to ICE for misdemeanor crimes.
Tulare County Sheriff Mike Boudreau said before SB 54, which is the sanctuary state bill, Gustavo Garcia would have been turned over to ICE officials. That's how we've always done it. After SB 54, though, we no longer have the power to do that. We should note the Tulare County Board of Supervisors voted to adopt a resolution opposing California's sanctuary state law in May of this year. And even though it's kind of symbolic, it does show a citizenry standing up for common sense. Joining me now is the Tulare County Sheriff Mike Boudreau. Sheriff, I know our viewers across the country are watching this and they're shaking their heads going, how can this happen in the United States of America, where we emote morning, noon, and night about the tragic circumstances of people who are trying to come into the country? And I get it, they're tragic circumstances. It's tough. But yet the politicians, did you get a call from Pelosi? Did you get a call from from Gavin Newsom? Any other, officials in California concerned about what's happening there?
The only phone call that I got was from the ACLU demonizing the actions that we took, which is really unfortunate. Tulare County is how it's pronounced, actually, but in Tulare County, that's fine. We're an agricultural community. We produce multi-billion dollars worth of agriculture that's sent all over the world. And we have a large undocumented community. But we also have a large group of people who don't commit these types of crimes on a daily basis. I think what our focus is on is the criminal element that ends up in my jail, that I no longer have the tools to reach out to ICE, my counterpart, my law enforcement partners, and I'm no longer able to recognize the detainer through the sanctuary state law, as well as the Ninth Court Circuit indicating that the detainers don't meet due process. So because of those two combined efforts, we no longer can telephone ICE and even ask the question, why is this detainer placed, nor can we recognize the detainer itself. And I think that I need to make myself very clear.
Sheriff, hold on. Can you give a heads up to ICE? Can you give them a heads up? Can you give them a heads up? Can you call and say, we're about to release this individual, or we have this individual in custody, even if they can't come and interview him or examine him? Is there any notification at all you could give to ICE?
We're not allowed to talk to our counterparts under these laws.
Where's the conservative lawsuit against this? This is just an outrage. Hold on, I got to play something for you, Sheriff. This was Nancy Pelosi's claim about what sanctuary policies actually accomplish. Watch.
Our city of San Francisco is a sanctuary city, and we see it as a place where it makes us safer. It makes us safer because people can go to school, they can get driver's license. They can be witnesses against other violence that they see in the community.
Is your community feeling safer tonight?
They're not feeling safer. But I will say that we're not against our undocumented community. We're not against immigrants. We're not against Dreamers or DACA. And I think that it needs to be very clear, you know, our community as a whole, even our undocumented community. I sat with a large group of people, and they're not afraid of their law enforcement. They're not even afraid of being deported.
So that's a lie, Sheriff. That argument that I hear parroted to me morning, noon, and night every time we deal with one of these sanctuary policy cases. We did this in New Jersey a couple of weeks ago. The advocate that came on said, oh, no, we're not going to have immigrants cooperating with authorities. They're not going to show up and testify in cases. That's just bunk. But this is the parroted line. So you don't see that at all in your community.
That's not true. We don't see that. We see our community reaching out to us. What they're afraid of is that the criminal will return to their community because we can't report them to ICE.
Yeah, and commit domestic violence, rape, burglary, robbery, other offenses against property and people. Sheriff, thank you for the heads up and for speaking out on what we are going to be following all throughout the next year, because so many people won't do it. We're going to do it.